What's up, everybody? Welcome to Valleytown, episode 180. I'm ChanmanV. Gaara's like half-faced right there for some reason. He's half-faced. But joining us today is our friend and guest, RDU. What's up, buddy?
Hi, good to be here.
Yeah, you picked a good week to be here, man. We've got week 2. This is actually day number 8. Last time we were like day barely 24 hours that we had our last show last week. But now that we're 8 days in, I think we can actually make some real assessments, or maybe the first meta may have actually formulated here. But I guess how was everybody's week? Playing Hearthstone. Did you guys just play a ton, or I know WoW kind of came out this somewhere in there. So Gaara, I'm sure you've played some of that. But overall, like RDU, kind of starting with you. Did you play a bunch of Hearthstone this week?
So yeah, like I'm lucky that I never played WoW, so that wasn't like a problem for me.
Yeah.
I played a lot of Hearthstone like daily for like a lot of hours since the expansion was out, especially like I streamed a ton. And I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on the meta. I look forward to play a lot so that I can be at my best level for both playoffs and Europe versus China next month. Like I really have 2 big tournaments to look forward to. So I don't want to disappoint, and I have no reason to not play a ton.
You have no reason to disappoint then, right?
Yeah.
So you playing a ton that's pretty normal for you, right? So
I played more than like my normal. Like
that's crazy.
going, and I already like mapped out a strategy. Like I'm this kind of like a very strategic person, also like in real life. So like my strategy was like first qualify to the playoffs safely. And then when I saw that I was also invited to Europe versus China on top.
Oh,
then I was
nice.
like, okay, at the end of the next month, so like at the end of this month, I'm gonna even take 1 week from streaming to just only prepare on getting to a better skill level and to finding out what's good in the meta and to master the decks that are in the meta.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I love hearing that motivation, man. That sounds good. It's going to be this year, man. This year's going to be your year, dude. I know it.
I don't know.
I know
We'll
it.
see. I'm gonna put in the work.
Yeah.
If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So today's going to be an interesting day of trying to talk with RDU about stuff without getting him to reveal too many secrets that maybe he's found just for playing a lot. But Gaara, how about you, man? You've been balancing the HS and the WoW, or you've been actually just playing Hearthstone?
I had also like a strategy planned up, just like RDU. I'm a very strategic person.
Yeah.
For much longer than him, probably, just because I'm very, very old in comparison. My plan was to play as much Hearthstone as possible till because I knew when WoW comes out, and I knew about Hearthstone. So I played Hearthstone till Monday every day for like 14 hours. I woke up, I played Hearthstone till I went to sleep. And then as soon as WoW comes out, I just play WoW for like 12 hours a day. So basically the last 2 days I played WoW, but before that I just played Hearthstone 14 hours a day. Like I didn't think about, I just knew what I would do on which day. So I played hardcore Hearthstone for a lot. And I played a lot of the decks I wanted to test. And I also have a pretty good understanding about the game, I would say.
Cool. Awesome. So the big question, what class did you play on day 1 of WoW?
Shaman, of course. Shaman.
Okay, good answer. I think that's what everybody would have guessed. No, that's cool. Yeah, for sure. I haven't played as much as I would have liked to this week, just because I've just been so busy with, trying to get everything that we've been doing with HS Replay out there for everybody. So, but I've been able to sneak in at least 2 or 3 days where probably something like that of playing, and probably got a chance to play, I don't know, maybe like 10 decks, not as many as you guys, I'm sure I've played, but I've been having fun. It's definitely been a good time. But you know what, before we dive into just like talking about decks and stuff, because we're just going to go on and on like the rest of the show, I did want to bring up like a big news headline that just happened, about an hour ago, which is Yong Wood, who is the lead producer of Hearthstone for Blizzard, is leaving Blizzard for Second Dinner, which those of you don't know what Second Dinner is, it's Ben Brode's new company. So this is pretty big news, at least from the standpoint of the Hearthstone team. And I mean, Yong Wood was one of the leaders, like this entire. It's like Ben and Yong Wood, for a while now, and Ben obviously left earlier this year, and then now Yong Woo's turn, and not to just leave, but actually go to the same company. So yeah, any thoughts on Yong Wood? Like, have you guys ever interfaced with Young very much? I know you guys like have been in contact with the designers a lot, but ever with for producers or any like Young?
I met him like I think twice.
Mhm.
Once at Gamescom, I believe, and once at the Blizzard headquarters when they invited over a bunch of people. I don't know if you went to that.
Yeah, I think I saw him talk, but I don't think I talked with him. So I don't know much about him.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, he also did like the presentation, I think, if you remember. Like we were in this cinema-like room, and I think he was holding the presentation together with Ben Brood. So yeah, like nobody really knew what his job was, but he was like there, and he looked very important. No, it's the same, right?
Oh my God. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
like as a Hearthstone player, you don't know what he does specifically. He's like the producer, but what he actually
Like I don't even know what
producers get no love, man. This is perfect example. Designers get all the love, and producers get zero love.
Don't you guys think that like job titles are like super hard to understand sometimes? Like I don't know exactly what a producer means.
So I mean, what my interpretation, I've never actually asked Young exactly what he did. So I mean, my interpretation of producer, and being like the lead producer, is like he's like kind of side by side with the director, in terms of, or at least the producers are side by side with the directors in terms of like releasing the product. So I think Young's job was probably more about releasing the actual expansions themselves more so than determining how things are balanced within them. So he worked with the artists, make sure the artists and all the card art we're making it in time for the cards, and all that kind of stuff, right, that we all just kind of take for granted. I think he was basically the manager that does all of that. So super important for the game that we love, but not as probably appreciated. And I mean, he was one of the leaders of the team, so I don't think that it wasn't like he didn't have high profile. I think it was very clear that Yong Wood was one of the leaders of the team. So I think we're losing another one of the old guards from the original team, and there's not that many people left, to be honest, from the original team, from the actual developer or the engineering team. So,
but is that a bad thing?
No, like, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that it's just a fact, right? So, it could be a good thing. It could be like just if folks that were here for a while, are itching to go somewhere else and just don't have as much passion for Hearthstone anymore, then it's better to have new people that do have a lot of passion, right, for Hearthstone. Yeah. So, with this one, I wonder if they're going to replace him in-house or have somebody completely external come and take his spot. Because, I mean, with Ben, it was more of just an internal replacement, right? Like, was there ever an actual I forget what the official director is. Who the official director is now?
I don't think they announced anything.
Yeah,
I don't want to be wrong, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't know if it's just like Mike Ney or one of those guys. I don't think so. I don't think their title changed at all. So, they might have to find another person, like an external person for this. But how about him joining Ben Brood? Like, what do you guys think about that? Because his title now on his Twitter says co-founder. So, the company hasn't officially started, clearly, if he's a co-founder, he's joining now. Or maybe there was plans for him just to join after, 6 months or something like that, or 5 months, or however long it's been. But what do you guys think of that? Just them kind of teaming up again?
It seems something like very ambitious that they try to do. And I don't have that much knowledge about creating games, but it looks very, very difficult to create a game. Like, you need an idea and you need like a way to put it into practice. So like, I don't know what to expect. And them leaving such a big project as Hearthstone for something new, they probably have already some really good ideas. So yeah. I'm curious what they're going to do.
Yeah. Like, is it going to be a card game? I mean, is it going to be a competitor? That would be.
That would be actually crazy if you think.
I wonder if they're allowed to.
I'm really good at card games, but I don't want to change to like another card game. I like Hearthstone right now.
So no artifact then? Is that what that means? Like if
I don't know,
artifact
like
comes out?
the only way I would change is if like the new game is like strictly way better. But I don't know. There's a lot of people that just like live on the hype and are like, oh, I'm gonna move to that game no matter what. And I think that's a wrong way to look at it. Like move to that game if it's good and if you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Not if, like no matter what.
So you're
But
you're
right
just
now I enjoy Hearthstone. So like there would need to be like something really big to make me change.
so you're just a one game man. I can respect that. He's monogamous.
I mean,
He's
I'm
monogamous with
focusing
this
on
game.
Hearthstone because the more I focus on other things, I lose focus on like the Hearthstone.
Yeah, I know what you
I'm
mean.
super competitive and driven still with the game.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, so I'm really curious to see, just what type of game, because it would be crazy, a crazy story if it ends up being a card game. It ends up being a card game that resembles Hearthstone in a lot of ways. I have a feeling they're not allowed to do that. Like their exit, whatever agreement they have to sign at the end.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if they can create like something that's a mirror of the same game. That would be crazy.
What do you think will happen? They get fired by Blizzard.
They'd be sued by Blizzard. They wouldn't be fired by Blizzard. But anyways, yeah, another big news, I guess, within the team. So I guess we'll maybe hear some more. What?
I have a feeling it will be a mobile game of some sort. Just a feeling.
A mobile game, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Right? I mean,
a lot of designers try to go that route because you can make so much money with like especially in the first few months of the release of a new mobile game. And I think making a game that competes with the big dogs, with Fortnite as a shooter or Hearthstone as a card game, and or MOBA with Dota, or League of Legends, what route do you want to go? You have to create something completely new, like a new genre of
yeah.
What would it even look like?
The mobile route's interesting just because usually with mobile, I used to do mobile game development. So the nice thing about it is just that you could really decide to go with a less produced type of game, a simpler game, just for lack of a better word, or you can go, AAA type style, and go crazy like the ones that you're talking about. So, you can really choose just at least how much money you want to put into it, and initially invest into it to just make a game or a game concept. So I have a feeling those guys are going more for the heavy produced game, just given their experience and I mean even just the size of which this company is being formed. It doesn't seem like it's very tiny. It's not one or two guys just like in their garage, on the weekends or like getting together, and coding away. I feel like this is going to be like a 10-person team or something like that.
But then it's gonna be super hype, whatever.
Yeah, could be. Definitely could
but that will last years or take years, right?
Mhm.
The design of Hearthstone also took many, many years before it came out.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know
that's
how
true.
many years they said, but it was like a lot. Like when they showed the presentation, when they presented Hearthstone to Blizzard, it was like so many years before 2013. I think it was like 7 years before that. The first initial.
I remember hearing about alphas, right? Like this was like during beta. I remember like Noxious or whatever would be telling me about the alphas, and it was like crazy cards back then, just outrageously unbalanced cards. So it could be.
But then we
years,
can expect like the first game to come out in like let's say 10 years from now. So not
could be.
soon.
Yeah, definitely could be. But anyways, why don't we get back to maybe I guess some of the decks we've been playing. So like what Gaara, like you still playing? I think it was like the Odd Rogue last week, right? And you were playing that mage too, which we tried in deck of the week. Man, I did terrible with that mage deck because I think it was about it's outdated probably like a few days like after we talked about it on the show. But are you still playing any of those decks or no?
I play mainly control. I always play control. I played actually control paladin just to see if it's good as an anti-aggro deck.
Paladin,
because
okay. All right.
Yeah, because control paladin got like new removal card
Mhm.
and just like new taunt minions and stuff. But control
Yeah.
paladin is just still too inconsistent. Like having a 2-card board clear combo is still very, very inconsistent against Zoo. You basically need to draw a card and clear the board. like Warlock does,
Yeah.
or Priest does, or like the other classes, or Mage with Dragon Fury. So control Paladin also likes like healing, and the win condition, of course. Paladin doesn't have a decay that just wins you the game like Mage does or Warlock does. So I played a bunch of Control Lock because a lot of people started playing MechaThun Priest. MechaThun Priest, Strifecrow made like a deck, and it was like very solid, and then everyone started playing that, and it just free wins against all the slow control decks. So the only control deck that can counter that, that is fast enough, is Warlock, because you have the demonic something
Project.
which transforms a random minion. You just wait till they play Hammett, and then just draw cards, because they have to play every single card, and then they will only have combo pieces left, and then you play the demonic project and transform one of them, and you just counter.
That's what it was made for. That's exactly what it was made for.
Not just that deck, but also Druid. Everyone's playing Torquoggle Druid and Malygos Druid. They cut a lot of minions, and they only have, as you just wait till they play Arcane Tyrants, Malygos Druid, and then you transform Malygos or Faceless or the infamous Floop. And the same for Torquoggle Druid. Torquoggle Druid also super popular. Just transform the important cards. This is why I play mainly Control Warlock. Barco Warrior was very successful for me when we had like still the popularity of Zoo being super high, like 30-40% or whatever. But in the most recent days, it shifted to anti-control. Also, what is very funny, like Questrogue is coming back with full force. Today I saw some tweets from Fino as well, like, wow, Questrogue is gonna be nerfed again for the third time. And I actually predicted Questrogue to be very good through the help of hsreplay.net on the third day of the expansion. It showed me 62% win rate on Asia and Legend Questrogue, because it just beats all the control decks, slow decks, and combo decks and control decks are just too strong versus aggro. And I mean, I will talk about this in a bit about tournament meta when we talk about this. But besides Zoo, there's not much aggro, so it's all.
It's better than Zoo even.
Yeah, it's Odd Rogue, right? That I think it's the quintessential aggro deck right now.
Yeah,
and it's been on top for a while now. I mean, if you're not looking only in Legend, but if you're looking at more of like rank 4 up to Legend, the Odd Rogue's been probably the most consistent deck at the very top in Tier 1. It's probably been the only one that's been in Tier 1 like 5-6 straight days. So at least on hsreplay.net. So yeah, that one I feel like is the most consistent. I was playing Baku Warrior too, and it just feels good hero powering for 4. I mean, there were some games where I was just like, I know I'm winning this game just if I hero power every single turn, like depending on what deck I'm playing against. So definitely those kind of games were nice. Obviously I was losing to some aggro decks, so just normal.
Also Dr. Boom is so interesting. I feel like it's stronger than Jaina. I was like beating Jaina in fatigue, like control mages, and I'm like, then I really started thinking, man, Dr. Boom might be a stronger DK than Jaina, which is kind of crazy to think about.
It's more versatile, that's for sure, right? It's way more versatile in terms of it gives you more cards, it gives you everything, right? I keep rolling the 1 damage across the board though, which kind of sucks. That's the one thing I really hate about it. But yeah, Dr. Boom's great. I think just the fact that you have the synergy with so many of the mech cards, the Omega and everything, it's like really good. RDU, how about you? I saw you play the Whizbang deck. We gotta talk about the Whizbang deck.
We gotta talk about.
Everybody was talking about. I was watching your stream. I was watching your stream.
To talk about his 10 times rank 1 legend. I mean, I was watching it.
I was watching it too. So
it's like I did nothing this week. I just got rank 1 legend.
He was like, the day I was watching was this is the Kingsbane, that day where you're mixing Whizbang and Kingsbane Rogue, right? So, okay, so Kingsbane. Maybe we talk about Kingsbane first. Kingsbane, how good is Kingsbane? Really super good right now, or there's so many rogue decks. So is it the best?
Kingsbane is like really good, but I don't know if it's better than Quest Rogue. I think it's very close between the two. But they're both like really good. Like is also really good. Like all these anti-control decks seem to be doing really good. I wonder how good they will be like if people start playing only aggro to counter those.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't that happen, right? Like that's usually what the reaction is to things like that. And Gaara, you were mentioning Quest Rogue, right? Like days ago, was showing up a little bit. It was hard to find. It wasn't easy to find it. You have to like really know what you're looking at. But in my queries, I was seeing it actually a bunch. So it didn't finally make like the top 5 decks for the day until like 2 days ago. And then it's been basically there the last 2 days. So it's always interesting to see how many days it takes for stuff to actually catch wind. And sometimes things don't catch wind and they just remain a secret. But the Quest Rogue is definitely one of those things. Now it's, I think, caught wind. So people are starting to play it, a lot more. But Kingsbane Rogue, yeah, man, Rogue's just so plentiful right now. I think it's one of the most diverse classes in terms of the types of decks you can play, and then just like the types of good decks you can play too. So
Yeah.
it feels like Druid last expansion, and Druid maybe this expansion too. But yeah, Rogue feels like that kind of crowd favorite right now. If you like took away all the Zoolock winning, and even lock winning, for Warlock and the popularity there, I think just with the general Hearthstone demographic, I think you'd see Rogue like way up there just because so many people are playing all the different versions.
Yeah.
But Whizbang, all right, let's talk about Whizbang. So for those of you that didn't watch the stream, for them, those of the people that didn't watch the stream, RDU, like which recipe decks did you actually end up getting?
So I got like the Shaman on the first game.
Yeah.
On 1. And I won against Evon Paladin. I don't know how I queued into Evon Paladin. I was
gosh,
pretty
alright.
lucky. But I won with the Shaman one against Evon Pali. And then I queued like the Druid with Astral Tiger. And I somehow also won a game. And I think I won another one with like, what?
You didn't you didn't
second one was Mage. Second one was Mage.
Yeah.
Yeah, Major second one. Like that one's actually pretty good. It's like very close to what Gaara is playing when he's playing Control Mage. And I think like the third one was like the Astral Tiger Druid.
Oh,
and like I
nice.
won one and then I lost one. And then I queued again and I lost again. So I went 3-2.
3-2. That's still good, man. 3-2 and you were rank 1 legend, right? When you did it the first time. You were rank 1 legend during one of them. I can't remember when where.
I played Whizbang on 1 and won 3 games. Then I lost 2.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I deranked to I6. I started playing Kingsbane Rogue, and I got 1 back, and then I won 3-1 again, and now I'm still 1. Nobody took it yet.
Okay. Wow. It's pretty nice when you can just toy around at rank 1 and still when you can get rank 1 whenever you want. Wow, it must be a nice life, dude.
I cannot get rank 1 whenever I want, but like
Okay.
I felt pretty confident on the meta. I felt like I can play well, and I just played quite a lot this expansion.
Yeah.
So I just went for something crazy if I got 1. It's cool for like the people watching too, because like I want to do something that like other people wouldn't be able to do, to just differentiate myself from like other streamers.
Well, it's a really interesting point because when you play a deck that it's clearly an underdog, right? Like it's not optimal and whatnot, then the strength of your play really shows. Like if you are playing with an unoptimal deck and everybody knows you're playing with an unoptimal deck, then it really does set up for you to be able to showcase just your playing ability. And I think that's where you would see an enormous difference performance level between people at say rank 5 versus like you. I mean, huge difference, right? So the fact that you're able to win is just like, wow, like crazy, mind-blowing and amazing. And it's so interesting because Spell Hunter, I think, is the consensus most powerful recipe deck out of all of them. I think for Whizbang, Baney just released an article for us, and he went through all the data, and I think like Spell Hunter has the highest win rate for it. But you didn't even get Spell Hunter, did you? Like a single time. So that's crazy.
I played Spell Hunter in like top 50, but I don't know how my list was compared to the Whizbang one. I didn't check the Whizbang decks before.
It's pretty close. The Whizbang one is actually a good deck, so it's it's pretty nice that way. So yeah, super cool. Let's see, what else did I play? I played Big Druid just a little bit, and then got really like tired of that because there's not much to do there. And then I played the Tempo Shaman, whatever you call it. I know there's been a lot of talk about just our Shaman decks too, or that Shaman deck on the side, but it's the hybrid Shutterwalk token Tempo deck, like the one that's out there nowadays. I played that one too. That one's like a lot of fun, or pretty interesting too. But yeah, so I mean, overall, like thoughts after just kind of general thoughts about the decks. Like, do you feel like there's a lot more decks that you want to keep trying out? Because RDU, I know it sounded like you played like a ton of decks, like 20. Like I think you told me you played every deck in tier 1, 2, and 3.
I played like most of the things. Like I didn't get to play Test Rogue, Mali Rogue, but like
Mhm.
I took every single class, and I think I played most good decks of every single class until now. So now it's just like trying to figure out which are the best classes and kind of ranking them in my head,
Yeah.
and then like experimenting more, and then thinking of how they fare in lineups in tournament
Yeah.
lineups, and just refining the deck list.
Okay. Yeah, Gar, how about you? I mean, do you feel like do you f- have you been going through just the top decks? I don't feel like you do that. I feel like you always just kind of experiment on your own, and sometimes they match up with things that show up on the tier list, and most of the time they don't. You know what I mean? So, are you still in that mode, basically?
I have my infamous spreadsheets I always do,
Yeah. Yep.
and
Yep.
like I look at like best anti-control decks, best anti-aggro decks, best aggro decks. Usually I skip the aggro decks because I don't like aggro decks of the recent years just because I don't like the mirrors. I used to actually play a lot of aggro. I played the very first Face Hunter, and I keep saying that I got, as soon as they released the golden portraits for heroes, I got 2 golden hunters in the very first
Oh,
month.
that's right.
That's like 1,000 wins in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I played a lot of aggro because the aggro decks used to require a lot of skill. You could get 80% win rate in hunter mirrors,
Mhm.
and you both play face hunter. And like the recent aggro decks is just about who goes first, who draws like the nuts in the opening hand.
Yeah.
And this is why I don't like aggro as much, but I still like keep track of all the good aggro decks for tournaments. And I played Odd Paladin and whatnot in tournaments myself. But I'm streaming a lot, and I usually tend to just play a deck I enjoy playing. Control playstyle is my favorite playstyle. This is why I like Control Mage so much. It's like one of the last remaining control decks. There's not many control decks left. And in the last expansion, there was only Control Mage because Control Lock was dead pretty much. It was a bad deck.
Yeah.
And like the control playstyle, it was like there was Quest Warrior. Like Baku Warrior was pretty bad. I played it in tournaments, but on that I was just unplayably bad. It was only Control Mage. Like other decks were just combo decks. Like Shadow Rock Shaman is not a control deck. It's like a combo deck. So right now we have a bit more control. Like we have Control Lock back.
Priest is back too. Control Priest is being played too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's harder for Priest now. I think like Zoo is harder because it's not a token deck. Like you don't just clear boards with Pyromancer as easily like it's, let's say, Odd Paladin. And Priest is always bad versus Rogue, and there's so many strong Rogue versions now. Kingsbane Rogue, like you said, and Quest Rogue, Odd Rogue, and they're all like even buffed. So no, but I do my spreadsheets. I like to look at anti-aggro decks because with every expansion, aggro is always the best in the start. Like we saw this expansion again. This time it was Zoo. Last expansion it was Odd Paladin, if you remember, board control, getting like rank 1 legend, the very first version of Odd Paladin. So I was focusing on that, and yeah, now I'll be looking into anti-control decks just because that's the meta. It's a slow meta, but as soon as Quest Stroke is the meta, you can't really go anti-control against Quest Stroke.
No.
You have to go aggro. You have to go face.
That's like the only way to beat it. So yeah, pretty much have to do that. Well, anyways, why don't we talk about the meta in a second? But before we do, just want to let folks know that we are sponsored by ZipRecruiter, which is a jobs hiring site, if you're not familiar with it. And, if you're having trouble hiring somebody or actually looking for a job, ZipRecruiter is going to be the best resource for you, and that's ziprecruiter.com/valuetown if you want to go and try it out right now. And the cool thing about the site, by the way, guys, is that you can just use one site, and then you can post your job if you're looking for a job, or post your resume, sorry, if you're looking for a job, and it just like automatically aggregates it across like 100 different job boards, and then you can just use ZipRecruiter as the one place to look at it all. And then if you're somebody looking for a person to hire, it matches up like your job post, or at least it finds like the best candidates from all these different job boards and then presents them to you. So it's really super awesome. I mean, like 80% of employers find their or fill their jobs by using ZipRecruiter. And that's the reason. It's like no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the highest rated hiring site in America. And right now, the ValueTown listeners can go and use it for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/ValueTown. And again, ZipRecruiter.com/ValueTown. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. So definitely go try that out. And I've used it before too. It's actually a really well done site. And haven't been able to look for a specific a person quite yet, but the next time I do, I definitely will be using it for sure. All right, let's talk about the meta pulse, or at least our HS replay meta pulses that I've been trying to get out like just throughout the week, in the first week especially. Well, that's not the right page. Oops, that's not the right page either. And I think it's good to kind of look at like just the general classes at first. A lot of people are just like, why are you talking about classes when you can just be talking about archetypes? But I think, looking at like a higher level of the class just kind of shows you like who got a lot of love this expansion, right? Or at least who in the beginning of the expansion is getting love, and then maybe who will be the comeback story at the end of the expansion. And so right now it's been moving, quite a bit. I mean, right now power rankings, when we started the week, Warlock was way up there, and you can kind of see the popularity right now looks crazy too, but it's actually coming down. It was like crazy over 30% because of just how much it was winning. And I still think it's being played a ton, like in the lower levels or lower ranks, but you can kind of see the win percentage. It's kind of come down quite a bit. And now Hunter's made a super big push the last 3 days, just with the Death Rattle Hunter, and we saw Spell Hunter fairly consistent, and then Secret Hunter actually even recently at the higher ranks, I believe. So just looking at this, what do you guys think? Like any surprises for you? Even in terms of popularity, just like look at the bottom of that popularity. It's just like brutal in terms of how many people are playing Priest and Warrior and Paladin. And there's some good decks down there. So I mean, like in those classes. So it doesn't have to do with that. Like, what do you guys pull from this? Like, you guys can make any assessments from this?
I want to start with Priest. I find it funny because a lot of the big streamers still play a lot of Priest, and as it looks like it has like almost no influence on the class popularity, even though like the biggest streamers get a lot of viewers and a lot of people watch them play, like mainly the
combo.
How do you call it? The combo OTK boar, whatever
the
you want to call
APM
it.
Priest, some people call it.
APM Priest,
yeah.
Exactly. I saw even Trump playing it yesterday, and
Yeah.
it has no influence. The popularity is going down drastically, just because it's not a very powerful deck, and the win rate also, the win rate also shows it. Like RDU was tweeting about it. He said he finally mastered APM Priest, and then he realized
but it's not good enough.
But it's not good enough.
I played it today too. Like I can pull a combo every time now, but the deck is like not good enough to survive until you can pull the combo most of the games.
Right.
Like out of the anti-control decks, this seems to be the weakest against aggro.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, of course, it takes a lot of like specific plays, and sequences to actually achieve it. So, yeah, I mean, the efficient aggro decks are always going to stomp it. But I think also that deck is just super hard to play. Like only you guys can play it, at a decent level. So
I think it's super hard to play in the beginning. Like,
oh, really?
The first 10, 20 games are like super hard, like incredibly difficult. But now I feel like it's super easy.
Okay.
So it's weird. Like, but the first 10 games are like incredibly hard.
Yeah. And I think that might be a reason too why just people play 5 games are like, no, screw this, man. I'm like, I don't even know what to do it here. So yeah, that's Priest. Warrior, Warriors. There's an up arrow there, but really it's not really that far up. It's just because Priest dropped so low. So, Warrior's not getting. I feel like Warrior, I don't know. For me, when I'm looking at just some of the decks that show up, in our queries, when I'm looking at them, I feel like there's a little bit more Warrior showing up recently, but it doesn't look like it here, like in the last day. So I don't know. Maybe it's just going to take a little bit more time.
The problem with Warrior, there's no like aggressive Warrior deck that people are playing. I saw some people on A reaching pretty high legend with a mech control. It's not even control. It's like a Baku Warrior with just a ton of mechs. Like
really?
I don't even know how I would describe the archetype, because it has like pretty low curve. It's just a bunch of mechs and the Dr. Boom, and it's usually like Auto Warrior. and it was doing pretty well, like even against control. I think it's like that's the problem with Warrior. If we have an anti-control meta, Warrior is like the #1 target. It's just auto loses to all of it. It auto loses Shadowwalk Shaman, Togwoggle Druid, Kingsbane Rogue, Quest Rogue, Miracle Rogue, all of the decks, Hunter, all of them. Like even Control Mage. Baku Warrior is like #1 target.
Brutal. Yeah.
And if you don't play, we don't have like an aggro warrior archetype right now that is like pretty powerful. So
yeah,
that really shows in the power ranking of warrior. So
any thoughts on Hunter? You know, because I feel like Hunter is the class that's been on the rise, like the last day or two. It's on the rise in popularity and it's on the rise in power rankings. This is like the second day it's been #1 in power rankings for this range.
I think this power ranking is regarding the Secret Hunter. I think not so much about the Death Rattle Hunter, just because the Secret Hunter should be doing well versus Rogue, Warlock, and Druid. And if you look at the right side, those are like extremely popular classes.
Yep.
And the best deck should be a class that is good against very popular classes. And yeah, I think this is why Hunter is like the strongest. I don't think it's Death Rattle Hunter. I think it's
Death Rattle Hunter. Like I don't think Spell Hunter beats Druid, and I don't know if it beats Quest Rogue either. Like I think Death Rattle Hunter is.
I think it does. Like the new one with the Project 9. It's pretty good.
Oh, is that even good? I think it's just pure Spell Hunter is better than.
It's pretty good. It's actually one.
It sounds like a favorite of cards.
Yeah, Board Control got top 10 legend with it, and then I played it, and I did also really well with it. I really like how the deck is played.
Yeah, but that was like a couple of days ago. I think like the meta shifted a bit.
It
and
does.
Like
it shifts like that fast for sure. Yeah.
I think like it's either pure Spell Hunter if you want to beat aggro, or just like Death Rattle Hunter if you want to beat anything else. I don't think Project 9 is like good anymore. I think it's like a day 1 deck.
Yeah, but I feel like Death Rattle Hunter just gets smashed by Zoo and stuff.
Not really. Now it's better with the 3 mana bomb. Like I don't know the name, but like it's better than it was before.
That kills something.
Which guy? The which guy? The
magnetic bomb.
Yeah, the mech.
Oh, the mech. Okay, yeah. The one that the one that does 5 damage. You mean that one or
no? The one that kills the minion.
Oh, it kills the minion when it dies. Yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Right.
That makes the matchup better. I think like way better.
Yeah,
I mean, that deck is definitely farming druids. Like it's
for sure. It's a huge advantage, right, over that. It's kind of amazing how much pressure Death Rattle Hunter puts on decks, and it's to the point, right, where people pop the egg like immediately, right, and when they see it because it turns into 2/5/5s otherwise. So, it's been pretty interesting to see just how powerful Death Rattle Hunter was, because it was decent last expansion, right? But I feel like it's having its moment right now, and mostly just because there's so many different druids out there. Speaking of which, Druid had a little bit of a lull maybe the 2 days before, but now it seems like the people just doing super well with it. Mostly I think it has to do with Malygos, and sometimes Token Druid's just pretty much always consistently somewhere in tier 2. So Malygos Druid, guys, super good deck. It's funny because like I don't think it has performed as well in Outsider Legend, but in Legend, or at least when you just watch pro player tweets and hear them talking about it, Malygos Druid is just like super crazy powerful right now. So is the consensus with both of you guys too the same thing? Like Malygos Druid crazy strong right now?
It's insane. Like if it doesn't have like a great win rate, it's probably because people don't know how to play it. I don't know. Like if you play the deck like really well, it's mind blowing how good it is. Like Floop is basically like I just feel the card is like better and better the more I play with it.
Let's take a look at it. It's like right here. Yeah, Floop. Yeah, you were just telling me all these Floop plays before the show, and it's true. I mean, Floop is. You can't play around it, right? I mean, you can't do anything against it unless, I guess you could Demonic Project it, but that's about all you could do. Like, and that thing is, I mean, it's so consistent too. You pull it off like easily every time.
You actually beat Demonic Project quite often because they have the card. They have to have the card early, So then it's dead card, and then if you just outramp into Alex into UI, you just beat him from that.
Right.
So they need to have like exactly a lined up even game in which the demonic project your card for them to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the version I'm showing too has like no tech cards either. Like they don't care about anything. But we have been seeing some tech cards, laced in here. We've been seeing all kinds of crazy. It's been a really great time for tech, and I really want to do something, and whether it's like a very consistent query that we post on Twitter or maybe in something on the site. But I really want to show something where tech cards are, when they're good and when they're not, like just kind of a pulse type, meta pulse type of thing. But one of the things that we've been seeing, we've been seeing like, like the Blood Knights and the Mossy Horrors and basically things just to kill giggling, which is really, really funny. What are your thoughts on that? Like, do you think it's worth it adding it to a deck like this? Or, which ones do you think would be actually worthwhile?
If you go to hsreaper.net on the front page and you scroll down and you look at the most played card in Standard, it is right now the Giggling Inventor.
Yeah, for sure.
So it is basically in every single deck in Constructed almost. So playing a card, a tech card that will always have a target is very powerful.
I think that you shouldn't play Blood Knight in this deck because you already have Swipe. Blood Knight should be played, I think, as a one-off in decks that don't have a way to deal with giggling, which is mostly aggro decks like Zoo or Odrog.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have like a way to deal with it, I don't know if you need to play anything like that.
Yeah. Okay.
For example, even Odd Hunter, I think they would rather play Mossy. Sorry, not Odd Hunter, Egg Hunter.
Wait, which Hunter? Egg Hunter. You mean the Death Rattle? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, this deck is super good.
I really want to touch up on that, like to see how powerful Malygos Druid actually is. Druid is the second most powerful class on the power rankings, even though pretty much the meta is trying to hard counter Druid. Like the Egg Hunters,
right.
All the Rogues, Zoo still, like it's actually mind-blowing how many people play Druid, even though Zoo is like so popular. It's like a counter deck to it. This really shows how powerful Malygos Druid actually is.
You can take it for like most matchups. I don't think you can take it for like Hunter. Maybe you can play double MC tech and that beats Hunter too. But like there are techs for like everything.
Yeah. This thing is so versatile. There's so many lines to win with this deck too. The Alex just opens up so much. You don't have to go, have an amazing, crazy combo at the end. You generally just need like one or two plays and you win with this deck. So it's crazy versatile that way, or at least consistent that way. But not to mention there are other druids too. Like, there's Token Druid that's still very consistently, I think, putting down a win rate too, for Druid. And it's a pretty different deck as well. I guess it does the matchup with Token Druid and Zoo. I forget what's the matchup on that look like. That's
I think it depends on like if Zoo plays Dreadlord or not, and now they don't. So like Token should be fine there. But I don't know.
I didn't see. Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
I saw like less than 5 Token Druids, and I played a ton. I don't know if the deck is that good just because Molly is like insane.
Well, it's good. It's just like relatively like nobody, like in a tournament, of course you wouldn't play it, right? But yeah, so Token Druid. Oh, actually, Warlock has a really good matchup against Token Druid, or Zulok does right now. But the point is like there have been other druids recently, and if we just I just did a quick query, just like the top 5 decks today, just kind of like do that just to see, because these top 5 decks, it's so funny because like I'll post these pulses and we'll show like which classes, right, have the top win rates and stuff like that, and then they'll notice that it doesn't match that, or it doesn't match the tier lists, even just the one-day tier lists on our site. It's because these are literally just like decks that don't necessarily get played very much, but these are the ones that have like the top win rates based on like just at least 400 wins. So today we're looking at pretty some things you would imagine, some things that are a little bit surprising. Control Breezes on here. Death Rattle Hunter, not that big a surprise. Taunt Druids on here. Odd Rogue, not surprised. Quest Rogue, not surprised. But Taunt Druids on here, which is... When's the last time you ran into a Taunt Druid on ladder? Do you guys play a bunch of Taunt Druids? Last month, exactly, right? Yeah.
And like 0 control priests. So I don't know how it's there.
Yeah, control priest.
I faced 1 or 2 control priests that conceded turn 1.
Turn
Like I
one.
played Barco Warrior, he saw the quest,
Oh
and
my
then he
God.
played Mind Blast, coin Mind Blast, concede.
Coin Mind Blast concede. That's almost like it should be a name.
Yeah,
It's a
like
meme
Barco
name.
Warrior, like he's
Yeah.
like, come on, bro.
Yeah, well, I ran into those too. That's what I was saying. Like hero power return just literally wins you like the matchup. So that's a lot of fun. No, but control priest, I think it showed up here like maybe once or twice or just once like the last, or once or twice the last 3 days. So I think people are playing it. It's just it hasn't really caught like popularity, and I'm not sure if it should or shouldn't. It sounds like you guys think it shouldn't even be here, but not very many new cards either. And that's another general statement too. Like, what do you guys think? Like, people compare this expansion with like Knights of the Frozen Throne, but it's pretty unfair to compare the two because Knights of the Frozen Throne had all these Death Knights that changed win conditions and things like that. So there was going to be a pretty massive change with an expansion like that. But overall, what are your thoughts on this? Like, does this feel like Witchwood, or is there still like any of the expansions you think? Is this kind of like what you expected? Just like, what are your thoughts so far? Like with the amount of cards that you see in the new, just the decks right now.
So like the expansion feels like it didn't change that much within the classes, but just how the metagame feels, it feels better to play than like the initial metagame that we had in Witchwood. So I'm still thinking that maybe they'll do some balance changes at the end of the free playoffs like they did like the last times. And maybe that meta that we're going to have after the balance change is going to be like super crazy and all over the place. Because you don't need to change that many things to shake things up. And they like doing that, and they were really good at doing the last balance changes. For example, I really hated the initial Witchwood meta. Like, I hated it. And the meta that we had after the balance changes was probably my favorite meta at the end of an expansion that we have had. And the meta we have now is like a very healthy initial meta, but maybe it can even get better with some changes. I don't know. Yeah. I'm curious to see.
Well, we actually have an early question. I'm just going to ask this question just because somebody in the chat actually has a really good one, which is Federalist 45 asks, just why isn't Silence more prevalent right now? Like,
because it's not good against Druid, and it's not good against Rogue, and it's not even that good against Warlock because Warlocks don't play Drakes. It's only good against Hunters. And it's not good against Quest Rogue either. Like, it's not good against 4 out of the 5 best decks.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. That's what I mean. Like, it's nice to like be able to see the tech cards like from a more macro view. That would be actually really cool. We've been talking about that for a while now. So
also a lot of the top decks
don't do it. Like, you help people. You're gonna help people too much. Like, let them figure it out themselves.
Okay. Wow, this is like an anti-feature. This is the first time I've ever gotten feedback where don't do this feature. That's a first.
His replay is like already spoon-feeding people.
Oh God.
People need to use their head.
Okay. Maybe we can make it pay to win.
Charge them $25 for
exactly right.
Yeah. Like, another thing is when you look at the top decks, they don't play a lot of tech cards at the same time. Like, the tech cards are not so good versus the top decks, and also like decks like Questroke, they don't play tech cards in general. So that's like another thing why you don't play Silence.
Guys, like, real talk. Is a world with Quest Rogue being a good deck a good world?
No, I hate it.
Come on. This is not good, right?
I hate Quest Rogue so much. Like, all my rants, I made so many videos. Like, it was Reddit front page, I think 3 times where I ranted about Quest Rogue. I hate this deck so much. It was
you play wacky control decks.
Yes. It's because you can't counter it with control. You have to go aggro. Like, you have to.
Just play aggro.
Of course, E-Cop thinks it's fine though.
But the deck is so dumb. The deck is
fine.
I hate it.
It's
especially
hard to
tournament meta. It's so dumb. It always gets banned or it just gets hard countered.
There's already too many anti-control decks. Like, all the MechaThun deck.
Exactly.
Topsy Priest, Quest Rogue, and there are some others that I'm missing right now. But there's like a lot of anti-control decks already. So like, what's one more anti-control deck?
I hate this.
It's probably like the best anti-control deck because it's like the most solid against aggro. but I don't know.
How many times do we have to nerf it, man?
Right.
I mean,
right.
last time they got nerfed, I actually expected it to see play right off the bat, and it didn't. Then I was like, "Oops, maybe the nerf was like enough to like cripple it." And now, bam, it sees plays again. Like, it's a type of like
More
card
goes away.
that is very hard to like print new cards around.
Mhm.
Like, you have to look at every single neutral, every single rogue card to make sure that it's not gonna be like bonkers in Quest Rogue.
Yeah.
Make the minions free freeze. There you go.
Like even the giggling inventor is not really an obvious one, but it's mainly good because of the Valira synergy. Like basically it gives you tons of value on Valira. So you can just go for like board control. And then if you Valira and you have giggling, you just like win the
Keep
game
doing
because
it.
you have enough
Yeah.
value. Because
Mhm.
sometimes you Valira and you have no value to play afterwards. Now you just go giggling and just like have 6 minions, and then you can bounce it and then summon 6 more minions and then bounce it, and it's just crazy in Valira state. But without Valira is like
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, well, we should probably talk about just events because some of the events are coming up. There's not an event this weekend or next weekend, is there? Is there something next weekend?
There's Copa
Okay, there's Copa.
tomorrow.
Oh, okay, so there is one this week. I didn't actually even realize
And
Copa was this week.
the Red Reserve Invitational is this weekend as well.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk about it in a second. Before we do, I want to thank our just big supporters, of course, our patrons. Those of you that might be interested or enjoy the show and want to help support us here at ValueTown, you can go to patreon.com/ValueTown and make a pledge today because we'd greatly appreciate it. But there's a group of people that have been doing it for a long time. Want to give a shout out to Mike T, Engine S, Raydan, Nick P, Peter V, Keepa, Greg S, Danny H, Jacob P, Risa, Mike Cole S, Bradley M, Junipi, I think it is, and Mario P. Just to name a few. There's a bunch more people too that we just try to get to each and every week. But when I spend a little bit of time, thank you guys because you are amazing, and we wouldn't be able to do the show without you guys. All right, so event meta, so powerful decks. So I'll pose a question before we actually just kind of get into it because I think some of the answers to just like what decks should be run in these events might be obvious, but recently with I would say Witchwood, and now it's kind of continuing into Boomsday. We're seeing a lot of classes that just have multiple good decks. And it's kind of hard sometimes, right, to have to choose between them. So what do you guys think about a format that would allow you to play multiple decks from a class? And if you think it's cool, like what kind of format do you think it would be?
I want to jump into this because I had this discussion already years ago.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like, how do you make the rules? Like, do you change one card and now we have a different deck? Like, it's too complicated to set the rules. Like, people could abuse it. Like, it has to be 5 different cards, Then it's
you're talking about like table, like you're talking about like sideboarding, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah, because back then we had like control lock and demon lock,
Yeah.
And like with void callers and just normal control lock, and then just now like cube lock, control lock. Like, where do you draw the line? And then people would say it's a different deck, or like tempo Shadowwalk Shaman and just Shadowwalk win control combo Shaman. Like, where do you draw the line? Like, I think it will not work. People would just try to abuse it,
I mean, you could do that route, or I mean, just bringing multiple druid decks, right? Just period. So,
like the same deck?
No, just a different one. Like, let's just say you bring a Malygos one, and you're allowed to bring a token one too, or whatever. Like that sort of thing.
Yeah, like with those obvious archetypes, I don't see a problem. But there's like very similar archetypes, right? Like control warrior, let's say. A taunt warrior and then Barco warrior. Like, where do you draw the line? It's basically like if there's like, let's say, an aggro meta, and then you bring token, what is it? Like, you bring control warrior, like Dead Man's Hand warrior, then you bring Barco warrior, and then you bring taunt warrior. Just as a dumb example. Like, is that okay? I don't think that's okay. Like, this is an example. Like, and there's like Togwaggle Druid and Malygos Druid. Those are 2 different decks, but there's only like 3 different cards.
Right.
For a different archetype.
Roddy, what do you think? Yeah.
I agree with guys, like too complicated to draw the lines, and like it will never happen because they love Conquest way too much. Like, if they ever wanted to change from Conquest, they should just like use Strike, because that's like already like a pretty good format, tested even.
Yeah, I enjoyed Strike.
What?
Yeah, strike.
I liked Strike.
Yeah,
Yeah.
strike's pretty cool. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it would probably take getting used to. I think the audience to figure it out, but I think overall it's definitely interesting. It's something
I lost
different.
hope already. They will never change Origin
Yeah, yes,
Conquest.
I know they won't. I know that I could change it, but I don't know. But getting back to my original question, I think it would actually be kind of cool if like, you could choose what class you want it to be, and then you'd have to just like work within that class. Like each player just whatever it's just like a general format, just like whatever matchup you have, each of you guys choose a class, and maybe it's like remember with those Valuton showdowns I did, Radu, like a while back. Maybe it's like you guys each have to draft like different classes, and then like you only can play with decks within that class. Because I think it's getting to the point where the classes are. I mean, it's rich. It's awesome. It's actually really cool that the classes are becoming versatile enough that they you can build like so many good and fast or slow kind of decks. So we've never been in a position like this where like a large number of classes were like that. Only like one or two were like that, and they would dominate the meta. So, but anyways, I don't know. I just thought that would might be a kind of a interesting thing. But in terms of like getting back to Conquest, what are you guys seeing? You guys thinking Quest Rogue is gonna be around? Malygos too? Like any kind of like I don't know, just other classes we haven't talked about yet, like Tempo Mage or anything like that, gonna pop its head in there. There seems to always be some kind of deck that especially early on in a meta just like catches everybody by surprise, or And Radu, if you know that deck, you're probably not going to say anything, so I'll ask Gaara first.
Yeah,
Gaara, anything like that?
I'm non-biased.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I have a pretty good understanding about tournament lineups and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm not playing in playoffs, so I can say whatever the hell I want.
Yeah,
Just-
exactly.
No, but no, it's like one thing is obvious, which everyone will figure out. It's just too obvious. Is like besides Zoo and Odrog, there's not too many good aggro decks. Like I've seen a lot of people test Spiteful Druid. I'm not sure if that is like a real thing yet. But yeah, like if there's not many good aggro decks that you can bring, then the meta will be very like. I don't want to say control, because I don't think the slow decks that we're playing right now are really control. Control, in my opinion, doesn't really exist anymore besides like Barkware and Jaina Mage. So it's like a lot of like Malygos Druid, Togwaggle Druid, Rogue a bunch. I think that in the upcoming playoffs, almost everyone will have a form of Rogue, if not everyone. It might be that like 90% will bring Rogue. Just there's so many different variants of Rogue you can play. You can play Odd Rogue, you can play Kingsbane Rogue, like I just said, or Quest Rogue. There's just Miracle
There's a
Rogue.
million rogues you can play.
Nobody has even talked about
Pogo
Miracle.
Rogue.
Miracle Rogue is also very,
Dude,
very
Miracle
good right
Rogue's
now.
so fun. Yeah, Miracle Rogue always has a place somewhere. Like one of these events, every single expansion, somebody pulls out Miracle Rogue, surprises everybody, or the actual results surprise everybody, and they win the tournament. It seems like somebody does that every single season or expansion, and I wouldn't be surprised. That's the case too.
So Druid and Rogue are like probably almost every lineup, just because you can go so many different routes.
Yeah,
and you can build the strongest decks. You can play Togwaggle Druid if you want, or you play like you can even play Taunt Druid. Nobody really does it just because Malygos Druid and Togwaggle Druid are so good. But even Token Druid is not bad. The problem with Token Druid is it loses to the other Druids. But it's also a good deck on paper. Like there's a lot of Druid decks you don't play just because there's better ones. It's very similar to Warlock. Like whenever I played Cube-Lock, just nobody played Zoo at that point, pre-nerf Warlock, just because Control Lock and Cube-Lock were so much better. As soon as they got nerfed, people started playing Zoo. And
so how many Druid decks are better than the best Priest deck?
4 probably.
4. Oh my god. Okay, that's pretty brutal. So Radu, any comments here? If you don't want to comment, it's fine. It's completely fine. I don't want you to jeopardize any kind of results based on like what you're saying.
I mean, what I said is very general.
Yeah. I pretty much agree with Gaara.
Okay.
And,
okay.
I feel like lineup wise, we're not gonna have like all the decks discovered until the end of like all the playoffs, and even then there might be some new decks. Why? Because there's more decks that will be viable in tournaments than decks that will be viable on ladder. Because on ladder, you technically play your best one deck. In tournaments, you have to play your best 4 decks of different classes.
Right.
So some decks that might never see play on ladder could be tournament could destroy tournaments. So we'll have to like wait and see until people start playing tournaments. But right now, even looking at some of the Copa lineups, we see quite some diversity. And I saw like one crazy deck in like Mazi's mid-range mech paladin with like meat wagon. You guys should really check it out. It's on his Twitter. He's like, I don't know. I played a bit. It's actually like decent.
I need to see this. What? Like, Muzzy always
It's
comes up
actually-
with a really good
I played it
mid-range
today.
deck.
It's actually decent. Like
Yeah.
it insta loses to Rogue, but I think it's
Holy
okay against
smokes.
most other things.
Yeah, he always comes up with a really good mid-range deck early. Like, he came up with
Yeah.
that Druid last time, which was actually really good when I played it at the time with the
It
Injured
was
Blade
token
Master.
Druid pretty much.
Yeah, kind of. It had like Injured Blade Masters and Tyrants and stuff like that, right? So,
It looks extremely wacky, and that's coming from me.
wow. Okay, so we're looking at this Paladin here. Oh my gosh, what is
Yeah.
this? Oh, okay, Mechano. Okay, the Mechano Egg is. I've seen that one. Is it
Basically
just
built
this
around like Mechano Egg.
Crystology? Really?
So you have like removal. You have removal,
Wow.
and then you have mechs that are sticky. And then you have a way to revive your sticky mechs.
Meat Wagon. That is hilarious, dude.
Meat Dragon is to get the egg.
Yeah,
It's like
I know.
Meat Dragon to get the egg. It only gets the egg.
That's funny, dude.
So like it's
that
basically
card's
full-on
really
egg.
good. The Mechano Egg is really good. If
It's
you
really
can
good in the
use
meta
it-
with no spell breakers.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Which it is, right? This is a meta.
Yeah,
with no
cause
spell
he
breakers.
also plays steeds, so like he just goes that into steed,
Mhm.
and then like if he gets a bit lucky, he can revive it on the 7-mana legendary spell.
So matchup wise, what's it?
Insta lose to Rogue, but you beat most of the other things. You crush aggro with this.
Okay, yeah, just
You,
pyros.
you,
and
you install in Zoo, I think. Like how does Zoo beat this?
Kangors too. That's I've never had any success with Kangors. I wonder. Yeah, I guess there would be some big plays with Kangors too, which would be nice.
I
Okay.
haven't played enough to see like how it is against Druid.
I mean, he
But-
clearly built. I mean, he's clearly building it to counter something, right? So.
It counters Hunters, for example.
Yeah. Okay. If it
I don't know
counters
if
Hunter,
it's
that's
against Druid. Like I think it's built around Ban Rogue. That's pretty much what I see.
he's got a Stranglehorn Tiger in his Hunter. That's funny.
I think all his lineup is built around Ban Rogue, and it looks solid.
Yeah. He's got the he's got a cool he's got the fun rogue. That's a really, really fun rogue.
Yeah.
I call it just like machine gunning spiders. I love it. And then what is he playing at the end here? Is it just big druid? Really? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's just big druid.
I don't like Miracle in this lineup because I feel like if you ban Rogue, you should just play Kingsbane. Because like I don't know how good Kingsbane is against Quest, but it's super nice against like Hunter. I think it's better than Miracle.
Hmm.
And against Druid, it's better than Miracle. Like way better. Like 10 times better. And not 10 times, but you know. Like Kingsbane Rogue seems like the best deck, but I think the deck submission was like too early. I don't know if he had time to experiment with Kingsbane.
When
Like, for
was
example-
it? It was probably a day before this. Probably the 13th, maybe.
I don't know.
I would assume.
Like it's hard to try out every single deck.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
totally.
For Rogue, it makes sense to bring the best deck versus aggro. The best like all the Rogue decks are good versus control or slower decks, but you want to kind of play the deck that does
Define aggro. You said it yourself. Like
yeah, I know. Like control is also like it's like slow and faster decks.
I would rather just bring the best row against Druid, which is
Like how good is Kingsbane versus? I mean, Miracle Rook should beat Druid.
No, I think it's unfavored versus Molly. Miracle.
I know that the Rogue players disagree with that. They think if you
Kingsbane
play
is like Kingsbane is like insane against Druid.
I'll definitely saw you farming druid for sure. Yeah.
Like that's the selling point of the deck. The fact that it beats Druids.
Okay, well, I
They
mean,
need to kill you from 30. If they cannot kill you from 30, they lose.
okay, makes sense.
One guy killed me because I never do my leeching poison. And he templed Alex and stuff, but like that almost never happens.
I
Do you
see.
still play 2 Leeching Poisons?
Yeah. Wait, you only play one?
No, I was asking if you still play 2.
No, you play two. Kingsbane is basically good because the new 2-mana card is like insane. The 2-mana Toxicologist card.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
it makes such a big difference. You can like when you're Valera mode, you can go Toxi and then copy the Toxi and then vanish, and then you can go Toxi again and then Toxi again. And
last week I even faced a Kingsbane Rook that played Togwaggle. He drew the entire deck and then he played Togwaggle, so both have no deck. It was so dumb.
That's dumb. Like
It's so dumb.
Oh my god. That's hilarious.
He went Togwaggle into prep the 5-mana spell, so both have no deck.
Oh man,
It's so dumb.
I mean, that's semi-smart. Because like if both have no deck, Kingsbane is like better.
That's true.
Yeah,
The
obviously.
Kingsbane is the superior thing to have. Yeah,
But deck is already so good versus slow decks.
I
so
know. Like, why would you even make it that close? Right.
It's like so unlucky. That's what I'm saying. How slow the meta is. People go ultra greed. I can't wait for the aggro decks to just punish those people.
Yeah, but is it going to actually be the aggro decks, or is it just going to be like like the mill
hope, I
decks?
hope.
Like the Togwaggle decks, or the quest ones? It's just like I don't like that kind of counterplay to control. It's
so bad.
It feels
on
bad.
ladder it has to be aggro because we have at least 2 good aggro decks. But in tournaments, I don't know if people can come up with 4 good aggros.
Yeah,
That's gonna be tricky.
that's true. That's a good point. I mean, what could you do now? You could do quest, or you could do odd rogue. I guess odd paladin, zoo, and
What about token?
token? I guess token falls in there. I guess. I mean, tokens
Is
the
token even
most
considered
aggro out of all of these. Maybe tempo mage.
I don't think token is that good, and maybe odd paladin falls into the same category because they're so weak to fan of knives or vanish. So like I don't know if you even beat rogues now with those builds. Like I like the zoo and odd rogue because they just explode on like turn 3. Token druid requires like too much setup, I think, and then just vanish is like greetings.
Yeah, that's fair.
And also like all these anti-control decks like Quest Rogue and Kingsbane and stuff can play Giggling and they can buy so much time with that. Like even the Topsy Priest, which should like never work against any deck that has any minions, it's still winning some games because it plays Giggling and then they can buy time until Psychic Scream.
Okay. Kind of like, I guess, moving on here. So I have something just underrated cards. Like we kind of talked about last week, but it was just so early last week. Any kind of underrated cards really going under the radar right now that you guys think is
Giggling Inventor.
I was about to say
that is not underrated.
Like, but in cards reviews, 100% underrated.
Complete under.
I don't know. I think it's gonna be really good.
Which one?
Giggling. Like people said in reviews that it's gonna be good, and it was good.
Yeah, I think you're misinterpreting what this segment is.
I think what might be underrated is like more like an archetype. I think Tempo Mage. I don't know, might be RDU. We'll come back with a Tempo Mage and just win the tournament. Who knows? Like he did before. Like I feel like it has the tools like to be the next good aggro deck. I feel like it has all the tools, but yeah, nobody's playing it right now. It's like really
like it's Instalos versus Druids. They just branching path and like they start laughing. And I don't know, is it fast enough to do things? I guess. Like the 4-mana spell power guy is really good.
Yeah.
But then you have to play Shooting Star, which is not that good without the guy. Like Shooting Star is a card that is only good with the 4-mana guy. So I don't know. APX Void is doing quite well with his aggro mage, but
every time I faced aggro deck, aggro mage just emptied his hand by turn 4 and I died turn 5. But I didn't face it a lot. I only faced it 4 times. But all the 4 times I faced it, I got destroyed. I got to High Road, one of them turn 1. We all know that.
Yeah.
The infamous 1-1 turn 1. But I think that might be it, right? Druid is the problem. Druid just has so much armor. Like Druid even out armors Baku Warrior, which is ridiculous.
That's a little overboard. I don't think it outdoes Baku.
No, it does. It does.
I don't think you realize it because you're losing the armor like
no,
throughout.
Because Malfurion already 3 mana armor hero power, but you have way more armor gain cards than Baku Warrior. Baku Warrior has nothing besides hero power. And then
but the hero power is 4 or 7. I mean that's a lot of armor. That's quite a bit of armor just hero powering.
you have the free. You have a better shield block that gives you like 10 armor. You have ultimate infestation.
I
you
mean,
have range
I'm not
grab,
saying
you
it's
have
like
Korea.
I'm not saying it's not close.
No,
I just think that
you
Bucky
are
has
out
more.
of. No, I'm serious.
Okay,
You
all right,
are
all right. Well,
armor backbone.
I'll have to believe you on that one.
I played the
But-
matchup so often. They make
I
more
know
armor.
I have too, though. I recently played a bunch too.
But it's
But
crazy.
But it
Druid
is.
has
I
the
mean,
most
Druid
armor.
by far. I think I even had a. I think I even wrote a clue in the last Super Show that says when Druid has more armor than Warrior feels bad Warrior, or something like that. So it's not that it's not close. It's just I think it's just ridiculous that Druid would have as much as a class that's literally built around that. That's kind of crazy. But that's the only class that has heal, though, right? Those are the only two classes that have heal for the most part. Like. That's why,
That's what I
like
was
your
saying,
point with
like-
Tempo Mage, right? Is Tempo Mage is good because of that, right? Because there's, if you take them down from 30 for the most part, you're gonna win, and Tempo Mage does a good job of that.
It's probably still the best class versus Rogue as well. All the Rogue archetypes.
Mhm.
I just can't see Rogue beating that. Also, like against any like even lock or control lock or whatever, you just destroy that as well. But yeah, it depends on how it does with the Zoo. If it loses to Zoo, if it loses to Druid, it probably just doesn't have like the spot yet in the meta. I don't know.
Okay. But any other cards you can think of that might be underrated? I mean, I can't think of any right off the top of my head. I mean, the 2/2 that has the 7/7 token, the mech.
Oh yeah,
always-
that one is pretty good.
That surprises me every time. Like somebody has a rush on it or something. It's just like, oh, fuck. It's like that's a pretty strong
I have
card.
to steal a comment from Strife Crow. Like he likes our card. Strife Crow always like builds these niche decks that usually end up doing well. The Myra, not the Myra spell, but the Myra minion that discovers a Death Rattle minion. Apparently that card is pretty good. And that's like good card to vote as underrated because it's very niche card. Usually you see it being played in like these Death Rattle rogues, which are not doing that great, I believe. Like a lot of people play these decks, but like when you look at stats, they're not doing that great. But yeah, that card is like, is it a 4 or 5 mana card? It's a 4/2 that just.
Five.
Yeah, that card is apparently pretty good
Yeah.
because it's so flexible in. Like you pick the Death Rattle you need for the situation.
Yeah. True.
Apparently, there's good Death Rattles to pick.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, why don't we take some questions from the Twitch chat today? So if you guys have any questions today, be sure to start asking us. Saturn Rebirth, man, he's going nuts, going to town. And if you guys have any questions, definitely write them out now. In the meantime, Ahmed N has a question, and it is: how do you choose your weapon tech between the oozes and Harrison? So I guess the question is like which card do you tech and when, in terms of the two oozes and Harrison, and then there's the new warrior card too, right? That's
I mean, it's pretty easy. Do you need card draw? If the answer is yes, play Harrison. If the answer is no, play Wooz. And then which Wooz? Do you need armor? If the answer is yes, play Gluttonous. If the answer is no, play Acidic Swamp. And then there's like another roadblock in like KLSF. Some decks can only play the 3 mana Wooz because of KLSF.
right.
And the final addition to that is Curve. Like, do you need
And
to
yeah,
answer the weapon on turn 3 or on turn 5? So you play Ooze basically in Big Spell Mage because of Rogues, because Outrogue Hero Powers turn 2, and then you block the Hedged Thug, and that's why you play Ooze over
Mhm.
Harris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That too.
Okay, cool. God, questions. Let's see. Thoughts on Quest. We already talked about Quest Rogue. Can
home.
Dead Man's Hand Warrior be a thing with King Alex now? Sneepy 239. No. Okay.
Insta no, because there's too many anti-control decks. Like if people start trying to go for like the Greed Fest, Quest Rogue is like, hey,
You're dead.
and not only Quest Rogue is like
There's lots of
even
them.
MechaThun decks are fast enough to beat that Dead Man's Hand.
Exactly.
Topsy Priest, name it. There's too many anti-control decks. Like every single greedy control deck is not going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this whole fatigue win condition doesn't work anymore. Like
Mhm.
I don't like because of
No,
how the anti-control decks work. What? But no.
I was saying like you're right.
Yeah. Like Deadman Sand Warrior is like, it wins through fatigue. But like we even saw, I don't know who watched, what was it, the Blizzard Invitational? I was actually watching that where the Korean spot only meme decks. Did you see that the
No,
quest?
I didn't see it actually.
There was like a quest zoo against that Ali's quest, Deadman Sand Warrior, and she just lost to the quest. It was so dumb.
Wait, Quest Zoo? You mean with the one with the portal that just like spits out 3/2 demons?
He played such a meme deck, but Deadman Sand Warrior can't beat that. You have like infinite resources, but you run eventually out of resources because you have to kill 2 imps every turn. It was so dumb, and it just shows you like Deadman Sand Warrior just like you can't out fatigue that deck. And he played Azari as well, and just copied the Deadman Sand. It was so wag, but Deadman Sand Warrior has no chance. And I even beat Deadman Sand Warrior with Baku Warrior through tempo. Actually, I thought it was an out to lose matchup, but just playing stuff. Baku Warrior just runs like Baku Warrior has to copy like a perfect hand. You have to copy like executes, usually a brawl, like shield time, because so you keep having all these removals. You need to copy Katru as well. It's such a like utopic scenario. Oftentimes you're just forced to, or you just don't draw your second Deadman Sand as well.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. You just like forget the most greedy optimal scenarios, and you just use the first one, you know. So, but to your point, I think I think that's right. I mean, there's just a lot of ways to beat Deadman Sand Warrior, and that might not be such a bad thing either. You know, Deadman Sand Warrior isn't, when we talk about Deadman's Warrior, I mean, it's a little bit better than Benedictus Priest, but they're not the greatest decks to watch either. Just having this type of infinite type of deck play. Remember when that never used to be a thing? Like infinite deck plays were just like against design rules, but now for some reason it's just all over the place, and it's fine. So thankfully we haven't gotten into crazy draw scenarios quite yet. But here's a question about a card that we don't see very much. Thoughts on trying to get lots of Dr. Morgans in your deck?
No.
Like you tried that too? Okay.
No, people already tried it. Like it stops after like 3 activations. So you cannot go for like infinite Dr. Morrigan. Yeah. Why are you trying to like say just like stacking your deck with Morrigans? I mean, that's just worse than Deadman Sand, and like we already debunked Deadman Sand.
I know. Let's see. Stand in the box. What does Warrior need to be? What does Warrior need to be as good as tier 1 decks, or at least be competitive? I don't think it's that far. Like, do you think it's that far? I don't. I mean, I think Dr. Boom was a good step for late game.
Like, if you're talking about Control Warrior, as I said, fatigue is no longer a win condition, and that was always the win condition of Control Warrior. Like, you run your opponent out of resources, and if you can't win through that, what does Warrior have left? It sounds stupid, but right now the main win condition for, like, let's say Baku Warrior is to out armor your opponent's damage. Like, if you face Malygos Druid, it's actually very hard to out armor even a Malygos Druid, just because you always have the 15 damage plus combo now. But that's your main win condition as Baku Warrior, and out tempo through max from Dr. Boom. Like, fatigue is no longer a win condition. Then what is your win condition? Like, Warrior has to be redesigned, or you just give Warrior different tools like Dr. Boom, where you create like max with rush and just win through tempo. You just have to give Warrior like different win conditions, and then Warrior's back in business, I think. But it's still like a very good anti-aggro deck. But you like, if you buff aggro decks, Warrior gets indirectly buffed as an anti-aggro.
Warrior's the classic deck that you just want to outlast your opponent. That like literally, if that's like your win condition a lot of times. But Roddy, what does it need? What does it need to actually compete? Maybe. Remember the days when it used to be the aggro deck? Like, remember those days, Pirate Warrior? It's like a long history. I mean, it seems like it's been a long time, but it hasn't been that long. But
yeah, like Warrior is a pretty good class to play aggro, just because they have weapons, and weapons are very good at aggroing. So even though they have like the worst hero power, just because they have the potential of playing weapons, they can be like a good aggro class, and they have Corcoran Elite and Frotting Berserker. But like they either need some better aggro cards to be a good aggro deck, or some better control cards to be a good control deck. I don't know. But like, what does good control deck even achieve? Warrior
Yeah.
was actually at its best when it was a combo deck, like Patron and also the Worgen Warrior. So maybe we need another combo deck on Warrior.
Patron was much more interesting than Worgen, in my opinion. But yeah, I would say the same thing too. I think that I still think that they have the ability to like make some of the cards that are already released into just more of an aggro package in the beginning. We're starting to see a little bit, like the Baka Warrior does, like some of the most recent ones, right? Have some of the rush, minions in it, just early on, just to fight off, just to help fight off some more. It's probably more defensive than it is anything else. But I feel like if you just added a little bit more tempo cards to that, 1 through 4 mana range wise, we could get there. I mean, I think we could at least make it somewhat viable. But yeah, right now, man, you need a lot. Definitely need a lot right now. My issue with like the Control Warrior is that every one of those giant legends that they make are just so, so situational or slow. Like Yip and Rotface, and they're just not guaranteed value like a lot of these other classes get. It's just like super value, guaranteed crazy value. So I think Warriors, missing a broken card like that. I mean, they kind of got it with Boom, I guess, but even Boom is a little bit slow, from that standpoint. But yeah, I think that's the class that needs the most work. Yeah.
Warrior was so good for so long. It can be bad for a while.
Well, I feel like Death Rattle is like the thing lately, right? Like just getting enormous value from Death Rattle and cubes and stuff like that. And Warrior has none of that, basically. They have the 3/6 that gives, that puts a card in your deck instead of on the board. So it's they're missing out on just crazy plays like that. Okay, Based 120 asks, why does Blizzard apparently hate aggro? It seems like they only print anti-aggro cards and no early game drops now. Seems weird given the goal of the game is to reduce your opponent's health to 0. Would you say that Chalky's on the freaking team now, right? I mean, like, why do they really hate aggro? I don't know if they
I don't think they want to print like super powerful 1-drops, because then they realize that the game is going to be only aggro. Just by printing like 1-mana 1-freeze, there's still some viable aggro decks, but it's not like aggro just running rampant like in the Undertaker days.
Yeah, it could easily fall back into the like Pirate Warrior and
yeah.
Those
I don't
days,
think we want that again.
Yeah. Let's see, anything else here? Let's see. Wes asks, would you mind if Blizzard reduced Marin the Fox to 7 mana to make it playable? It looks like a fun card that, as is, it's a dead card. I mean, it's meant to be a fun card, right? Yeah. Do you want Marin the Fox to be playable?
I don't know. I don't really care. Like, they could reduce a lot of cards and like they could make them playable, but I don't know if they want to do that.
Yeah. I don't even know if Marin the Fox would be good enough, to be honest. Like, that's what's scary, man. All those like different artifacts or whatever you get from it, is that actually better than some of the stuff we're seeing right now? Like, I mean, some of the rogue stuff is just ridiculous, and it's just like normal cards. So it's
Hearthstone is like played in such a different way, man.
Yeah.
Like than it used to. Like, oftentimes it really comes down in which order you draw your cards. If you just look at the new mage card, the legendary mage spell, like the Luna pockets, like if you draw everything in the perfect order and you draw all your big threats afterwards, they all cost 1 mana. Like, if you just compare that, like, that's so insane. You play that, and then you play at some point like Blizzard into Alana in the same turn and something else, and like then having like the base cost reduced by 1 mana of a card doesn't really have a huge impact on how Hearthstone games are played right now. It's just you do really crazy combos right now. Like just look at the egg. These combos are super fast as well. Like, people play an egg and then they play the terror scale into play that.
Double
so
5/5s.
5/5s. That is way before a 7 mana Marin the Fox can come down. But it's the same with Rogue. Rogue plays the 3 mana weapon that procs a Death Rattle, and then also makes like just a crazy board, like in way early, like turn 5, turn 4. It's the same. It's just a lot of these late game cards, like when you play them or when you stabilize and play them, it doesn't really matter if they cost 7 mana, 8 mana, 9 mana, oftentimes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I see Mason. Maybe this is the last one. What do you think would be a good idea for Whizbang once it's about to rotate to Wild? Perhaps Wild deck recipients would be a good idea to promote some players to try out Wild without investing too much dust or money. Oh, okay. Yeah, so do you think Whizbang should change, I guess, as it goes into Wild? You know, with the deck recipes or whatnot?
Maybe.
It would make sense. Otherwise, it would be bad, right? Like it would be worse. So
If it has like a very good success, they could print something similar to it to keep it in the standard rotation. But in Wild, yeah, it should give you Wild decks probably.
yeah, I think so too. Do you think it should change recipes during the season, like during the year?
I mean, it will, right? Doesn't it change like if they update the recipes for like the next expansions?
I don't know.
Sure it does. I
Will
think it
they?
does.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool then. I mean, Whizbang is definitely one of the coolest cards that they've made. You know, like I feel like, yeah, that was smart. You know, to make a card like that. But yeah, this to your point, Gaara, like this expansion feels like they didn't do the same thing they did with the Witchwood. They definitely wanted to go for like bigger plays, right? And I guess we'll have to see in the coming weeks and months whether
just because
it's worth it.
I think it's too difficult to keep topping that, right? Like
they didn't top in Witchwood though. Like I think they were like more subtle than anything else in Witchwood, right? The power level of Witchwood was not huge. It was
yes.
Yeah.
But because like you realize, like you make DKs and then you wanna top that with every expansion, like you have to tone down like the power level of cards.
Right.
Like we had legendary weapons, and then imagine the legendary spells are as powerful as DKs. You just play the spell and win the game, basically. Like it does something absolutely crazy. Like right, it clears the board and gives you free 5/5s or whatever for 5 mana. Like that would be then legendary spellstone.
Right.
It's a pretty bad name. Like you can't have that, right? And then how do you top that with the next expansion? Like, you play 1 mana 4/4s or what? Like, I don't know.
And this is like so they're decisions they're making like a year before too. So it's like really, really difficult to tell. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Gosher says one last one. Did it surprise you that almost no Omega cards sees play? Is that true? I mean the Warrior one sees play.
Yeah, the Warrior one sees play, and like the Priest one is pretty good too.
I mean, it's good, but there's just no place for it right now, right? Like the
Priest sucks, but like if Priest will be played, I think it will use that card.
Yeah, that's fair.
Gaara can tell us. Gaara is control monster.
It's because we don't have, these are like vanilla started cards, right? We have a combo meta and combo counters control. And all of these Omega cards are in control decks. Like even the Warrior one is played in Park Warrior. We don't have a control meta. We have a anti-control combo meta. Right. It should be like actually a good meta for good players because combo decks usually require more skill. So I'm very curious to see like who tops in the upcoming tournaments. Like if decks like Malygos Druid, Kingsbane, Rook, whatever are the best decks in the game, like all the combo decks, if people manage to like get a huge edge by just being better, or if it's just all like who draws better.
Well, the mirrors are going to be interesting. I can't really say that I have a really good like. I haven't seen any events, right? So like I can't really say I have a good feel for how the mirrors go, like mirror combo type of.
Malygos Druid used to have a lot of skill before the expansion, but I don't know now with the new Floop if it's just meme.
It still has, I think. Like a lot of the time I win, I think because my opponent makes a mistake, or like I feel like the deck would be like so much dangerous if everybody would play it perfectly.
Right. Well, I mean that's good then, right? I mean,
yeah, that's obviously good. Like Shadowwalk Shaman mirrors were pretty bad. Like skill definitely mattered. I still never enjoy, even though I had such a good win rate in Shadowwalk mirrors. I never enjoyed playing Shadowwalk mirror because he just like Hammett on 6 and just throws. You can just draw the nuts and just win. But in Malygos mirror, you could really almost always outplay your opponent. They did some mistake and then you could capitalize on it.
That's true.
yeah, if we have that meta, it's pretty good for competitive Hearthstone. We'll see.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely see this week if Copa is going to be in the next couple days, and Copa should be at a good hour, right? Like Copa's in, or at least good hour for me. I don't know about you guys, but
I think it will be like around now, tomorrow.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Definitely have to catch that, and hopefully you guys will catch it on the Copa channel too. But I think that's going to be it, guys, for today. We can wrap up here. Covered a lot of different decks and whatnot, and yeah, I think overall we were able to, at least discuss the meta right now, because I feel like right now is kind of like the first meta, so far. It's kind of still changing like every 1 or 2 days, but I feel like there's a handful of decks that are just going to be at the near the top or that are currently at the top. But overall, I think that we have to start somewhere, and I think we're kind of at that place at this point. So, but Radu, it's always awesome having you on, and I don't think you shared any secrets, so I think all your secrets are still safely in your vault as to what you're gonna break out here, the next event that you that you end up competing in. But any shout outs you want to do before you take off?
Just shout out to G2 Esports for being the awesome team that keeps me going.
Awesome. Gaara, how about you?
RDU so humble. Like, shout out to RDU's Twitch. He's streaming every day, like freaking 14 hours.
Beast.
I don't know. Like, whenever I check, he's online. Like, probably rank 1 legend on like multiple servers.
I stream like 6 to 8 hours. It's not 14, but yeah. I don't think I'm awake for 14. Like, I sleep like 9, so I cannot technically be awake for 13.
So, I mean, viewership's been great, right? I mean, the times, I remember there's been a few times I watched you were just like doing 10K over, right? And so, has it been like that most days for you?
That was the crazy stream.
Oh, okay.
With rank 1, playing on 1, also got hosted by Thais.
Yeah.
It was actually so crazy. Like, as soon as he hit rank 1, Thais hosted him.
Oh, really? Perfect.
It was like the perfect timing, and then he kept playing with Fizzback, like even better. He played
See, that's what you gotta do as a streamer, man. you gotta time those moments, and then when you got that audience, you gotta know what to play.
And he did like literally the craziest thing you can possibly do with the most viewers. Like, perfect scenario.
All those followers and subs, man. That's good stuff, man. Definitely great. Yeah. Well, anyways, I'll wrap things up. Thank you, the two of you guys for doing the show. Everybody for watching. The discussion in the chat was definitely fun to watch at times, at least. But definitely you can find the VODs as always on youtube.com/ChanmanV or youtube.com/hsreplay.net. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, and soundcloud.com/ChanmanV and Spotify. But that's going to be it, guys, for this week. So for RDU, Gaara, and myself, ChanmanV, we'll see you next week.